Hello, everyone. Welcome to Technical Analysis Workshop with Nimbus Capital. In this session, we are going to be doing a little bit more than technical analysis. We will be diving into the fundamental analysis where we will be looking at earnings and revenue for this company that we are looking at today. But I want to emphasize that this level of fundamental analysis that we are doing is very basic. It is the basic of the basic level. There's nothing too complicated about it. And also, on the other hand, this fundamental analysis is just a surface level analysis to kind of support our technical analysis, meaning whether or not this trade can be taken is not dependent on the fundamentals at all, because Nimbus Capital at its core, we are mainly technical trader. So whether a company can be traded, we are determining it by all the technical parameters rather than the fundamental parameters. Nonetheless, if the fundamentals are aligned with what we see technically, then of course it makes the trades even better. So for this, we will be looking at AirBNB today. So the reason why we are looking at AirBNB is mainly because it has shown up on the US scanner on Friday. So when Friday market closed, probably around Saturday morning, our Singapore timing will probably be Saturday morning, meaning to say that you have not yet have access to this Friday US scanner yet. You will only be having this on Monday itself. However, I am doing this pre-analysis before Monday the market starts to open. So before we even dive into the technical analysis aspect of AirBNB, right, I just want to bring your attention to its fundamental, because I think there is something interesting happening in AirBNB. If we look at TradingView, in fact, TradingView have like grown so much that you can see all the fundamentals right on your windows right here. In fact, I don't even need to head down to another third-party website to just look at the fundamentals, and the visual representation is very helpful, very helpful. One look at it, I know whether it is doing well or is doing bad or what's not. But because if you are looking at AirBNB right now, you can see that like for the year of 2020, everything seems to be dropping left and right. You can see that huge decrease in the profit, the net income and the profit margin. But of course, AirBNB being a travel vacation theme company, right? It is definitely affected by COVID-19, like all the other airlines or cruise or those kind of company we are looking at. But of course, this number that you see here is 2020. We are currently in the last quarter of 2021, and AirBNB just released the second quarter earnings for their 2021, and those numbers are quite interesting. So just by clicking at more financial here, right, TradingView will bring you to this page here, which I feel is very well done, very well done. You can click on any of the parameters and it will give you all the charts that is like representing all the bar charts lah. So it's very easy to look at it visually, and you don't even need to draw your own chart. Previously, what I do is I go to Yahoo Finance and then I will input the numbers and create all the bar chart by myself, but now TradingView make it much easier. So the key thing about looking at AirBNB financial is that we should not be looking at annual, mainly because in the annual report, right, we don't really have the information on the first two quarters of 2021. We only have the last year, which was 2020. So what we should be looking at is looking at the quarterly here. But before we head down to the quarterly, right, what I want to bring your attention to is, if you look at total revenue right here, don't care about all the plus and minus at the bottom. I think those are, I'm not sure how these numbers are being calculated, but it doesn't matter for us. Okay, it doesn't matter for us. So if we look at the revenue for AirBNB, right, Revenue is very important because revenue represents the amount of customer that you are getting. If the revenue is going up every year after year, right, it means that your product or your service is gaining popularity, or it is being used by almost everyone, and the demand for your product and services are there, and that's why your revenue goes up. But if let's say your revenue is keep going down year after year, right, it means that maybe you are getting out competed by other industry or your competitors or what's not. So revenue is the most important health check for your company. As long as your revenue is up year over year, right, your company is in a relative healthy state. The reason why we do not look at net income is because net income get affected by a lot of things like the loans that you have to return. Like for example, if you decide to expand aggressively this year, then your net income is going to go into a negative mode or even almost no net income. But that doesn't mean that the company is not doing well, because if the revenue is still very high, then of course growth companies such as Airbnb or maybe AMD or what, they will utilize a huge portion of their income to fuel things like R&D, expansion, a new factory within those lines. So those kind of future investment, right, it can lead to a lower net income, but that lower net income doesn't mean that the company is not doing well. It just means that it's investing in its future. Okay, so net income is not the correct parameter if you want to look at the overall health of the company, but rather the revenue is important, which is why we always look at the revenue. But of course, if you have some funny numbers, like for example, your revenue went up by 100%, but your net income went down by like 80-90%, then you may want to kind of like take a look, where are all the expenses coming from? That's where you will need a deeper dive. You need to go into the company in investor relation or the press release PowerPoint to see whether if they have explained where are majority of the profit going to. So these are a little more in-depth stuff lah. Okay, so for Airbnb revenue, right, what you can see is that within 2017, 18, and 19, if you look at their earnings, right, if you look at their revenue, it is 2.56 billion. Then on 2018, it grew to 3.65, and 2019, it grew even more to 4.81. So you can see that growth right here. It is going up, meaning Airbnb is doing well until COVID-19 strike in 2020, and the revenue start to go down, and even the earnings, the net income went down significantly. So, but if you look at the last number here, the trailing 12 month, TTM stand for trailing 12 month, meaning it's not looking at the financial cycle, but rather it's just looking at the past 12 months, meaning the number that you see here is the current earning for 2021 together with half of 2020, because currently right now Airbnb have already released their Q2 report, Q2 earnings. So this trailing 12 month represent Q2 and Q1 from 2021 and Q4 and Q3 from 2020. So we are kind of like half year, half there lah, in a way. But you can see that in 2020, right, Airbnb does very bad, extremely bad, to the point that we have a decrease, so much decrease in their revenue and total net income. Even then, right, if you look at the current trailing 12 months, it is already at 4.42, meaning even though Q3 and Q4 for 2020 is like horrible, the amount of revenue that Airbnb is getting for Q1 and Q2 2021, right, it is so much that the trailing 12 months have already beaten 2018 revenue. 2018 revenue is only 3.65 billion, but the trailing 12 month currently is 4.42. It is almost like 30% more. Yeah, it is almost 30% more compared to 2018. And if let's say during 2021, the Airbnb Q3 and Q4 report, if the report come out like almost slightly better, or even if they perform marginally better than 2020, right? What we could be seeing is that within 2021, right, we can be looking at a revenue that is almost equal to or even higher than 2019 revenue. Meaning it will outperform the entire 2020, and it might even outperform the highest peak of revenue that we've seen in 2021. Now, when we look at quarterly, you can see that Q1 from Q4 20, right? You can see Q4 2020 was one of the worst. And this trailing 12 month that you see here is inclusive of the Q4 2020, meaning we are taking one of the worst quarter in AirBNB into account during this trailing 12 months. But even then, we have already beaten 2018 revenue, and we are on our way to beat 2019 revenue. Okay, so I hope you guys can sort of understand that. And if we look at 2021 itself, the revenue is increasing and the net income is also increasing, because on Q4 2020, right, it is negative 3.9 billion. And then now we have on Q1, we have minus 1 billion, which is like a lot more, a lot better, a lot of improvement. And when we come to Q2, which was the report that was released recently, right, it is only at negative 68 million. The B is gone. Now we are looking at M. So we are very close to being positive on a quarterly basis again. And if this trend continues to go up, right, if Q3 the revenue is even higher than Q2, the net profit is back into positive, and in Q4 we have even higher revenue, even higher positive, right? What we will potentially be seeing is that for 2021 we could have a record-breaking revenue and record-breaking profit. Now, in any normal circumstances, that is probably expected, I will say, but you have to understand that we are still living in the period of COVID-19. It has not really died down. In fact, like we have all the Delta variant going on, and even Pfizer came out with the new pill which hope to reduce hospital death by, like, I don't know, I'm not really sure of the new news also. So we have all these things coming out, but actually COVID, we are still living with COVID-19. The air travel isn't what it used to be before COVID-19. There's still a lot of restriction in place. And despite all this, if AirBNB can beat the revenue of pre-COVID time, then it's go to shows that the business is very good. They are doing very well. I'm not sure how they are doing very well, because I'm not going to dive deeper into that level of fundamental analysis. But based on looking at just their quarterly earnings and revenues in comparison to all the annual earnings, right, we can see that AirBNB is investing and doing so much to ensure they are growing, and they are still getting their revenues and their profit during the time of COVID-19. So that is extremely positive that I feel about AirBNB right now, in a sense that, as I mentioned, if it can beat the revenue before the COVID-19 during 2021, right, it's go to shows that they have so much room for growth. And if the COVID-19 improved to become like what we were during the virus strike, then the demand for the demand for AirBNB services will be up even higher. Okay, so there is a lot of growth potential for AirBNB right now. So with all those fundamentals said, right, let's take a look at the technical itself, because if you look at this chart, it is not something that Nimbus Capital would normally trade, because we tend to like counters such as Nvidia, Umbrella, Marvel, and you can see that all these charts have one thing in common. They are all uptrend. They do not have overhead resistant. They are not in a sideways movement. But if we look at Airbnb, it is kind of in a sideways movement since it went on to the IPO. And we still have that overhead resistance back in 2021 around the January and April period. But you have to understand that during this period, it was when Airbnb released their Q3, Q4, Q3 and Q4 earnings for 2020 lah. So you can see those earnings were quite red right here, right? But going into 2021 earnings, right? We start to see the recovery here already. So given that, right? Given that, the first thing we want to look at is to look for certain clues, certain signs of shareholders getting more comfortable with Airbnb, getting more confidence that they can deliver, right? We want to look for those kinds of signs. And the first sign that we can see here is this little candle here, this little candle, and you can see this big volume that is coming in. This volume is coming in on the red candle that you see right here on 17th of May. With the volume is so high that it almost rivaled the first day of the IPO during his when Airbnb was accepted lah. Okay, so this volume kind of represent that and you can see after this volume, right, price did not go lower beyond this point already, and it also came in shortly after the earning report for the Q4 where we have that big dip that is going in right here. So what this volume represent is, it is kind of like a stopping volume in the sense that there are so many shareholders selling. They are trying to get out of Airbnb due to the bad earnings of 2020, but at the same time there are even more shareholders soaking up Airbnb shares. They are buying all the share that the panic folks are selling, because they probably believe that this is the final, I would say, the final drop in share price for Airbnb lah, and they hope to see coming to 2021, right? They are hoping to see recovery in Airbnb business, and of course, those who bought here, they are definitely rewarded at the current stage right now. But as technical trader ourselves, right, we do not want to gamble or buy into this kind of downtrend counters where the support have not been established yet. Because if we look at the counter at this stage right now, you cannot say that this is a support right here, because it's not really a support. It is just that this point has been only established one time, and it is very possible for Airbnb to just continue slide down like this. It has not been established as a support yet. It is only right now that when we look back in hindsight, the support has been established. But right at that moment of that candle, we do not have any support being established yet. So if you are looking to trade any bottom counters or trying to bottom pick something, right, you must be very sure the support has been established. And many traders have lost their life saving, or they have like take losses unnecessarily because they prematurely go in. Okay, they are prematurely go in. So the next point was here. The next point was right here. We actually have resistance at this level, and when we look back in hindsight at this point, it was when the first quarter earning come out, and shortly after that, the price broke through the resistance. This current resistance that you are seeing right now at 140, and after it broke through, right, it continued to stay above the resistance and go up even higher to what we are seeing today. So in hindsight, maybe you could say that we could have gotten in right here, but hindsight is 2020, because during this time Airbnb did came out on the scanner. I noticed it does come out on the scanner back then, but I was a little bit skeptical in a sense that we have so much resistance happening right here. And when I was looking at the financial also, I was not really, when we look at the Q1 financial for 2021, right, it wasn't as rosy, or it wasn't as promising. And we have there is also a very huge risk that this level, which previously you've seen as a support, right? This level was previously a support. It can suddenly become resistant and just turn down here like that. So if we go in right now, the reward that we are looking at is not great also. So we do need to look at all these perspectives that are coming into play. So sorry, my game is making noises. Let me turn it off. Okay, my bad. Okay, so where were we right now? That was Final Fantasy 14. Okay, so yes, we do have that in terms of technical perspective, right? We do have that little bit of I would say the risk there that is not worth taking lah. And in fact, as I mentioned, the earning is not so rosy yet that we want to take the risk, or we want to take the gamble that this can even go up higher. But looking at the earnings right now and looking at the chart right now, AirBNB have proven that they are able to go up much higher, and of course we are currently very close to the all-time high resistance that we see then. Okay, so now we have established a few things. We have the support right here. Let's take this as a support. Okay, then we have a previous resistance right here that was broken up. Resistance, okay, and then we have another resistance right here that was broken out during the earning release. And you will see that this resistance has the price has gone beyond what was used to be a support level here lah. Okay, so we are not, now we are quite confident that it is not going to touch here and then come back down. In fact, if you see here, right, if you look at the price action here, it does touch here, but instead of coming down straight, right, it does a consolidation for a while. So the reason why price consolidate is that it is checking for seller. Market is checking for seller. That's why it consolidate. And after a while of consolidation and checking for seller, right, in fact, there are no seller involved. You can see all the volume here are very, very tiny. Very tiny mean there isn't any seller. And because there isn't any seller, right, buyer have no choice but to buy up, because there's no one selling to them at this level. And that's why the resistance is broken. So now the key question here is, can this go up some more? Can this go up some more? That's of course the $1 million question. And when we are trying to answer a question like this, right, a lot of traders make the most fatal mistake of, they feel that if can go up, mean 100% go up, they throw in their life saving, and when the counter retrace by a bit, right, they see that they are in a very big rate, they are in a very big loss, they exit, they panic and run. Then after they panic and run, right, the counter continue to go up, and they not only take a huge loss, but they also forego a very big profit that is going to be coming in the future. So as a trader, right, you cannot take what I say or take all the analysis that other people are saying and assume that, oh, this one 100% up, I'm gonna throw my life saving, I'm gonna sell my house, sell my car, everything, and then go and throw all your life saving inside here. And after that, when the price retraces by like even 1 or 2%, right, you will panic and you will be running for your life really. So very important that you do not do such kind of action. These actions are very clear sign of a inexperienced trader, a newbie who doesn't know what's going on, someone who have no idea what risk management is. And if you lack risk management, no amount of analysis is going to help you. Even if a trader who is able to make perfect analysis, perfect prediction, right, if you cannot maintain your risk management, there's no way you are going to profit on any counter at all. Don't be greedy, okay? Don't be greedy, don't be stingy. These are the two things that makes trader lose money, by being greedy and by being stingy, okay? So firstly, if we want to trade this, right, let us assume one thing, okay? Let us assume one thing, and that assumption is we believe Q3 and Q4 earnings for AirBNB is going to be positive. So that's our assumption, okay? So you have to be mindful of assumption and prediction. We don't know whether Q3, Q4 is going to be good or not. We don't know, but we are going to assume that. And if we assume that, our trade setup need to be formulated in a way where all these assumptions are already in place. So if Q3 and Q4 earnings are good, then it is highly likely that this will break out of resistance. So this is going to be break out of resistance. Okay, so with that in place, right, we also need to determine where our stop loss is. So when we look at the past price, we can see this consolidation right here. And I mentioned that this consolidation here is testing for seller. It is testing to see whether the market have any seller or not. And because there are no seller at 170 level, right, that's why price continue to move up. If there are seller, then price definitely will not have gone up. It will just continue to consolidate there. Okay, so with that established, right, we can kind of take 170 as like a pseudo support level. It's the level that no seller are there. Meaning, by taking this level as a support, we can place our stop loss around below this level. We do not want to be putting it in the middle here, but we want to place it slightly below, maybe around 160 like that as a stop loss level. Because if price come down to the point where it breach 160, right, then what we have assumed, which is quarter 3, quarter 4 will be very good or whatever, or whether there are no seller here, right? All these assumptions that we have made is wrong, meaning our trade is no longer valid, meaning we should be out of the trade. Hence, the stop loss is there. The stop loss reflect our assumption and our strategy. It is not randomly placed there for no reason. And that is why in Nimbus Capital, we take our stop loss level very seriously, and all our stop loss level are placed at a certain level for extremely good reason. It is not just randomly just throw there and oh, what, this one go up, so the stop loss here. No, there are very good reason why certain stop loss are placed at a certain level. Okay, and that is why you should obey the stop loss at all costs. So if you are not obeying the stop loss, right, most likely you will not be getting any form of profit by following our trade setup. So if our stop loss is here, right, you need to ensure that you can stomach a retracement all the way back here. You must be able to stomach all the retracement back here. And because of that, right, you need to ensure that whatever amount of share you buy, right, from the current point until maybe right here, it must be an amount that you are comfortable with. So let's say if you have a capital of $10,000 and you enter AirBNB, okay, you enter AirBNB and let's say AirBNB retrace to like 170 and you see your $10,000 become like 5,000, meaning you are looking at a negative 5,000, then that is 50% of your entire capital. If you are losing 50% of your entire capital in one trade and in one short retrace, then most likely your risk management is all wrong already. Okay, so this one, be very careful. Be very careful with your risk management. We have a Patreon entry on how to take care of your risk management, so do go and take a look at that. So that is not to say that price will 100% come down also, because if there can be trader that doesn't want to take the trade here, they want to wait for the retracements also, and then because they are waiting, price doesn't come down but suddenly it just goes straight up and they miss the whole trade. So there can be those kind of situation as well. So whether or not price is going to go up straight, it's gonna go sideways and then go up straight, or it's gonna recover down and then go up like that, we don't know. Either of the scenario can happen. We have no idea of which one is it. And there is no analysis in the world that can tell you which of these will happen. So you as a trader need to account for all three scenarios. Meaning you can have a strategy that, let's say, you have you can buy 50 shares of AirBNB. Okay, I think 50 shares may be too much. 50 shares is 10,000 already. So let's say you can buy 10 shares of AirBNB, meaning $2,000. Okay, I think $2,000. Okay, you can buy 10 shares of AirBNB. So you can actually buy 5 shares here, so that in case when it go up, right, you still have something. And the other 5 share, you can wait for it to retrace. So if you retrace, you can buy another 5 share here. So you will be able to take advantage of both situations. Okay. But ultimately, right, whatever you do, you need to be able to hold your position. That is important. If you cannot hold your position, do not even take this trade, because as we mentioned, right, we are looking at Q3 and Q4 earnings for AirBNB. That means to say that this trade can last for at least 6 months, because earning come out every 3 months. So next 3 months, Q3 earning will come out. The next 3 months, Q4 earning will come out. So if you are going to enter here, right, you are probably be stuck here for 6 months. So make sure that you can handle that kind of holding period. So do not, once again, right, this has something, this is linked to risk management as well. You do not enter your entire capital into AirBNB and then drop a bit, you scared, but after this one goes stagnant, you also cannot take it because now you are stuck here with your entire capital for 6 months and other counters are running up, and then you become FOMO and you go and prematurely exit, you know, all those kind of nonsense stuff that newbie traders like to do lah. So make sure you take care of your risk management well. Do not enter your entire capital here. Maybe you can enter like 10% of your entire capital. You still have that 90% of your other capital that you can chase other counters. At least if this is stuck for the next 6 months, only 10% of your capital is stuck for the next 6 months. So sometimes trader like to say, hey, so I'm using CFD, I only have $5,000 capital. If like that, how? Then if that's the case, right, I'm gonna give you the most realistic answer, which is that if you want to be a trader, 5,000 capital is not going to do it. CFD brokerage is not going to help you, and I would recommend a minimum of $10,000 to $20,000 capital. Okay, that is where you can trade comfortably. If you have less than $10,000 capital, what I suggest is you do not trade. You go and do something to save up additional $10,000. That's the that's the most realistic advice that I can give you. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you to go and YOLO call option or anything that can make you lose even more money, because if you trade with limited capital, you are going to be falling into a lot of new traders fallacy, like they will enter a position that is very big, or if they enter a very small position due to their small capital, right, then what they realize is that the profit is not worth the effort. Like you are spending hours and hours to read a chart, read a financial statement, but when you enter a position, you are getting like $40, $50 in profit, and that's not worth the effort. So please go and make sure you are properly capitalized before trading. Okay, so the AirBNB trade setup will come up shortly, but it is very simple. You can enter wherever you want, but your stop loss need to be somewhere around 160. Okay, so as long as your stop loss at 160, I think you will be fine with AirBNB. And of course, once again, you must be able to hold your position. Okay, so that's all for AirBNB analysis in terms of both the earning statements and the revenue analysis together with the technical analysis itself. So thank you guys for tuning in, and if you feel that my videos help you in making yourself a better trader, right, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and give a like to our video also, because it does help with all the YouTube algorithm and you know, and if we have more views and more subscribers, right, it will allow us to create better YouTube videos and create better analysis. So thank you very much and have a nice weekend.